Let's take a look at how everybody qualified. And Frank, the top 8 solidly in. That you see Joe Amato turn those numbers here the other evening. Nobody's been near him basically all weekend.
Well, yeah, you know, the conditions at night, the track's cool. There's much better traction, and that's when you're going to see some of the spectacular numbers like we saw out of Amato.
Andrew Cowan got in late yesterday with that 470, keeping Bernstein's 471 and Dixon's 478 out of the field of 16 for the U.S. Nationals. So those are the fellows who did not qualify. Some names maybe not totally unexpected, but others certainly you did expect. And here are the first round matchups. There's some good ones right there.
And I'll tell you, there are no provisionals over here in NHRA drag racing. If you don't run fast enough, you don't get to race on race day.
On the other side of the ladder, Cory Mack. There in the opening round with Steve Smith. Schumacher and Dunn. That's going to be a biggie right there.
That's going to be an important round.
That's Andrew Cowan. Qualified late yesterday, bumping Kenny Bernstein back to the house. He'll meet Joe Amato, who comes in tied for 6th in top fuel points. Joe and Snoopy are 47 down to Dunn. A 5-time NHRA Top Fuel champion and a 3-time U.S. Nationals winner, 1987, 88, and 1990. And that is Andrew Cowan. What a great story.
Yeah, he's done a fabulous job. Again, one of the newer teams on the Top Fuel circuit, and certainly he's got his work cut out for him, because Joe Amato is, as he said, looking forward to running to the head of the class today.
Cowan, only 19 years of age, in his first U.S. Nationals, the rookie from Australia, a second-generation racer. Oh, my! How about it? Andrew Cowan has just sent Joe Amato packing home to Exeter, Pennsylvania. A 466 to the 471 of Amato. 466, 300 miles an hour.
You know, I was going to say an unbelievable break. That isn't a break. They absolutely earned that victory. But poor Joe Amato, 7 times at first round loss. Let's say 8 times. Yep. This was his day. He had the fastest car out here, but certainly not in the first round of competition. Absolutely stunning performance by the Cowan team.
Joe even had hole shot.
Yeah, by just a little tiny bit. But I'll tell you, there's nobody at this point in this drag race that's more surprised than Joe Amato sitting there, and he can see Cowan out in front of him pulling away, and he doesn't like it. Joe will be absolutely devastated by that first round loss.
What a great story this is. Andrew Cowan, 19 years old from Australia. He's the one that bumped out Kenny Bernstein. He's happy he can't get his helmet up in that final qualifying session yesterday. About Andrew, get the hand off, buddy. He got out of the car, he went back and started hugging the motor. Because the motor right now is his best friend, not the D-ring on his helmet, and there he is. Congratulations.
Man, I guess Superman can be beat, huh? No, like, we're just here to have some fun, and we're having some fun. And I'd just like to say thanks to everyone at Cowin and all our sponsors. I mean, this is just beautiful. Just proud to be Australian.
Almost said the B word there. His father, Graham, a great racer too down under.
Scott Kalitta and David Grubnic. Grubnic's only career final was in Houston back in 1998 when he lost to Cory Mack.
The way things are looking right now, I'm going to bet on Grubnic. Boy, I'll tell you, these veterans are falling.
And Scott Kalitta has 1 funny car and 14 Top Fuel career victories. Yeah, you were right. Give it to David Grubnic. The Montana Express checks in at a 465 at 311 miles an hour.
And the thing that's so impressive is these guys just aren't getting this by default. They're going out there and performing with excellent runs down that racetrack. And as we spoke earlier, the cool conditions help some of the teams that maybe don't sometimes have quite as much experience, because they can put a lot of power, a lot of clutch on the car and get it down the track. When you see the teams that really shine, that have a lot of experience, is when the track's a little trickier, and they might have to take some of that experience they've got on those slippery tracks. But we've got a fabulous racetrack there today.
And you just saw Kalitta just zig and zagging his way across that lane there.
Maybe the other end of the racetrack on the left side, which everyone was saying was the favored lane, maybe that's not quite as good down at the far end of the racetrack.
And Grubnic is going to get the lane choice over Vandergriff when they square off a little bit later on. Meanwhile, Steve Evans has David Grubnic alongside of him, who has lane choice against Vandergriff later on.
What is this, an Aussie invasion?
Oh, man, I honestly, I don't know. We were enough. I did the burnout on that run, started the burnout, and I'm on the throttle, and all of a sudden the engine quits. And I'm thinking, man, this ain't right. And I'm sort of backing up, and I touch the throttle pedal, and there's nothing there. Absolutely nothing. The cable must have come off it or something. I got one of the crew guys, and I'm pointing in there. I'm saying, man, I've got no throttle. I need this to get down the racetrack. Somehow they fixed it, and we're here.
Oh, man, what a story.
And they fixed it to a 465 at 311 miles an hour. Good look down at Indianapolis Raceway Park. Bob Fry, how about track conditions?
Surprisingly, they're not that different than what we had in the opening round. 103 degrees on the track earlier, only 112 degrees right now. I don't think lane choice is going to make much of a difference here, Elias.
And there you see Bob Fry, trackside, giving you the update on doings here at Indianapolis Raceway Park. Randy Parks against Andrew Cowan. What a great story. If you weren't with us on our morning show today, Cowan upset Joe Amato, who had been quick all weekend, with a 466 at 300 miles an hour, while Randy Parks got the best of Doug Herbert's.
Everybody in the field has upset somebody in the first round of competition. As we spoke earlier this morning, absolutely an unbelievable set of circumstances have led here. But these drivers did not get in here by default. They've got some outstanding performances, and we're going to see some excellent side-by-side racing.
Randy Parks' machine and Andrew Cowan. Andrew, at 19 years of age, in his first U.S. Nationals. As Steve mentioned this morning, his dad Graham, standout and funny car, qualified for his first U.S. Nationals in '85. And Randy Parks, that's the same car he flipped at Phoenix earlier this year. It returns to competition in Atlanta and is ready again here at the U.S. Nationals round 2 of Top Fuel. Time and would have gotten the win, but Andrew Cowan, thanks to that fireball from the back of the Randy Parks machine, Cowan gets the win at 466, 278. Parks had it until the engine went bye-bye.
Big explosion. He was 0.06 of a second quicker off the start line and pulling away. But I'll tell you, you can't go down this racetrack all the way to the finish line and win these rounds with a problem like that. A huge concussion. It obviously had backfired, blew the supercharger, tremendous engine damage, and that's going to cost him more than just a round of competition. That's going to cost him a lot of money.
So he had the edge. Then when the engine went away, Andrew Cowan now makes his home in Huntington Beach, California, got the win. Watch it again.
Remember that they used to drive these things in the Top Fuel dragsters. I started in them sitting behind the engines, and Don Garlitz was the guy that said, I think it'd be a little safer, as you can see here, to sit in front of the engine. The funny car guys haven't figured that out yet, though.
So a major explosion. Cowan will advance. He will meet the winner of David Grubnic and Bob Vandergriff. Their run coming in just a short while. TNN is at the U.S. Nationals in Indianapolis.
466, but the speed fell way off.
Yeah, well, like, she was going down there pretty good, and she's lost the blower bell, as you can see. She just quit on me, but I mean, she felt pretty good. I could see Randy all the way down there. I thought I lost because I could see him, just his nose through the lights there. But I'd just like to say thanks to Cowin and all of our sponsors, Autometer, and our fantastic crew. And I'd also like to say thanks to Richard Hogan. He's a consultant on the car, and it's been great. Thanks very much.
The thrill is in his face. You can see it.
Sure is. And how about David Grubnic now? We could have another all-Aussie semifinal if Grubnic could advance past that man, Bob Vandergriff. Vandergriff beat Jim Head earlier today, while Grubnic got the better of Scott Kalitta.
Vandergriff barely won that round of competition, and as we spoke with him earlier, 488 was not what he's going to need to win here. So to have the Aussies moving on is the way it looks right now.
Now Grubnic lost in the 3 second-round appearances that he has made this year in Dallas, in Columbus, and in St. Louis. So for him to get by, this would be the first time this year he would have advanced past the second round. And Bob Vandergriff, overall, as we said on our morning show today, overall has had a good season. Had some problems with tire shakes earlier this year. They got that handled. They had problems with the oil pan and the injector. They changed that earlier this year. But still winless.
Certainly a team that could go all the way today.
There goes one Aussie up in smoke, and Vandergriff with a 469 at 307 miles an hour. 469, 307. It'll give Cowan lane choice when they meet later on, but Vandergriff stays alive.
And part of what money buys is talent. And there's a lot of talent out there in that pit area that's making these cars run so fast today.
Then you got Andrew Cowan right there, the family operation, Graham Cowan and his brothers and everybody, against Bob Vandergriff. Ray Alley doesn't come cheaply as the crew chief right there. Bob, can these upsets continue, or do we start seeing some semblance of normalcy? What do you think?
Well, I got to like Vandergriff right here, but I'll tell you, following up what Frank and Steve both said, the Cowan team told me their big problem is they've never done this before. They don't know exactly what to do. They don't have it down to a system between rounds, and they're coming up probably a little more ragtag than you would expect a Jersey's team, or Cory Mack, or Tony Schumacher, the other three drivers in the semifinals.
There is nothing like seat time in this business, is there?
Well, seat time, time testing, you certainly can't come up and make 20 or 30 test runs in a top fuel dragster in a day. It costs $5,000 or $6,000 just to run the car down the quarter mile one time. And you can only do about 3 or 4 runs a day because of all the maintenance. So the test time is really at a premium for these teams.
Bob Vandergriff, we've said it before, as Ray Alley gets in position. He is still winless this year. Has come close. And Andrew Cowan, he's just riding the wave of, hey, I'm here, let's have a good time and see what happens. That's the approach they are taking.
He probably can't have a bad day from here on, I wouldn't imagine.
Vandergriff reaction time. Cowan, though, with the power of 468, 297 miles an hour. How about them apples right there?
Well, I'll tell you, we would not have picked that, and I think it continues with our upset theme through the entire Nationals. Vandergriff, a big advantage off the starting line, but obviously the problems that they had early on in the day with the traction and the rest of the situation, they didn't get fixed, and you can't let up on somebody that can go out there and run 460s like the Cowans can.
You saw the Jersey's machine dancing around just a little bit, too. Watch it again. At about the 330-foot mark, then on towards the 8th of the mile, you saw him haze the tires.
Yeah, and at that point, he would have noticed it. He was a good enough driver, had to close the accelerator, get back on it, and that was the advantage that Cowan needed to win.
There's the margin of victory as we take a look at it again. You'll see when that smoke starts bubbling up, he has to save that race car.
Yeah, tremendous wheel speed at that point, and he gets off the accelerator very quickly, but it costs so much time when you close that throttle. This is a sport of hundreds and thousandths of a second, and he could cost the car 0.2 of a second just by having to do that.
Andrew Cowan, his first U.S. Nationals at the age of 19. Steve Evans, a remarkable story.
Yesterday was Father's Day in Australia. You'd like to give the U.S. Nationals to your dad here in just a bit.
Yeah, I would. I mean, someone picks me, man, it's like a dream. I mean, it's not like, I mean, I watch all these guys back home on video after work each day. I mean, it's not every day you get to race and beat Bob Vandergriff out there. I mean, we're just having too much fun. I mean, it's unbelievable. It's great for Cowin, and it's just great for the team. Thanks.
Win or lose, they'll probably celebrate at the Outback Steakhouse. Huh, Eli?
I would think so. Little Alice Springs chicken or something along those lines. You know, with all due respect, Frank, and this is magnificent to see, when do the odds start getting stacked against these fellas?
Well, I would have thought they would have already. Now, he's going to be a big star here with his performance at the U.S. Nationals. Can you imagine what a star he's going to be back in Australia?
Oh, they're going to eat that up. They have just lit the torch on the top fuelers, and we are set for one of the more intriguing finals of the year. Andrew Cowan defeated the #1 seed Joe Amato. He defeated Randy Parks. He defeated Bob Vandergriff to make it to the finals against Cory McClenathan, who has defeated Steve Smith, Eddie Hill, and Tony Schumacher. First, your thoughts, Steve Evans.
Interesting. The last time a non-North American driver made a Top Fuel final was clear back in 1977, National Trail Raceway in Ohio. It was Englishman Clive Skilton, who was beaten by a foot by legend in the making Shirley Muldowney. Clive is now a very successful car dealer in Southern California.
In fact, I was talking to Clive Skilton about 3 weeks ago. We were in an auto dealership and didn't even know it was his.
Now the burnouts for the Top Fuel finals. Andrew Cowan. And Cory McClenathan.
You know, for Cory, even though Cowan's been running good, it's got to be a situation where he feels like he should not make any mistakes up there on that starting line.
And he's been needing this kind of a weekend, Bob, hasn't he?
Yeah, this gets that MBNA team right back into the chase. Joe Gibbs is on hand here today. They're looking pretty good. It is the better of the two race cars right here. If they run like they did in the semifinals, Cowan will have the best seat in the house to watch Cory win Indy.
Cowan, a rookie at age 19. Cory McClenathan with 12 wins over the last 2 years, the most by any Top Fuel driver. 6 wins and 8 finals back in 1998. He had the win at Richmond earlier this year and is trying to back up his 1996 U.S. National win with a victory here this afternoon. Glad you're with us live on TNN Motorsports. Andrew Cowan and Cory Mack. This is going to be intriguing.
Well, all the years that I've watched the Top Fuel finals here at the U.S. Nationals, I've seen some pretty strange things happen. Both cars smoking the tires, off and on the throttles, wheel stands, a number of things. I wonder if this is going to be a good, straight, fast, side-by-side drag race or a wild final.
We'll find out. We haven't seen many straight side-by-siders today. Cinch up the belts, folks. Here we go. And at a 461, 308 miles an hour, Cory McClenathan is going to get the win. An impressive run, nevertheless, for Andrew Cowan. But Cory Mack has got it, and Joe Gibbs has taken another Super Bowl of racing.
Coach, you've won a lot of things. This is pretty neat to have you here and watch your boys just dominate.
It's an exciting thing, I'll tell you that. You need to be talking to the guys that did it. I was here as a cheerleader. Hey, MBNA, we've had a long year. Cory Mack finally wins the biggest race of the year. We're excited about that. Lord bless us with a great day, and we're thrilled.
He said a mouthful. And did you get a look at Cory Mack when he got across, got those chutes deploy, and he quickly jumped up in the driver's cockpit while the car was still rolling? Watch it again. It was all his.
Again, he dominated from the starting line. Excellent driving, good reaction time for Cory, and the team had the car running really well. The Cowans, they just pretty much ran out of 460 performance.
But what a tip of the hat is deserved to the Cowans, because they did themselves awfully proud with a 19-year-old rookie against a 36-year-old veteran, Cory McClenathan. Steve Evans, not a surprise, but quite a weekend of racing.